Welcome to Prime Bible Stories. Today, I want to talk to you about the clock of life. We live in a society that worships youth and discards experience. The world tells us there is a pre-approved script for human existence. You are born, you study, you work hard for 30 or 40 years, and then at 60 or 70, you retire. The word retirement carries at its root the idea of withdrawing, of pulling back, of stopping. At 85 years old, most people, unfortunately, are thinking only about preservation, about resting, about avoiding fatigue. And who can blame them? The body aches, energy diminishes, and the world changes too fast. But today, we are going to open the Bible to Joshua, chapter 14, to find a man who completely shattered this logic. A man who looked at the calendar, saw he was 85 years old, and decided that was the perfect moment to start the biggest war of his life. I am talking about Caleb, the man who asked for war when everyone expected him to ask for peace. His story is not just an ancient record, it is a slap in the face to our complacency. Caleb proves to us that old age is not a condition of the body, but a state of mind. He teaches us that the death of your dreams is far more tragic than the death of your body. Prepare your heart, because what we are going to hear in the next few minutes will challenge you to get out of your spiritual rocking chair and claim the mountains God has promised you. To understand Caleb's greatness, we need to go back in time. We need to understand the historical and geographic scenario that makes his faith something so absurd. We are talking about a brutal period in the Bronze Age. Israel had left Egypt and was at the gates of the Promised Land. Moses, the great leader, sends 12 spies to scout the land of Canaan. Caleb was one of them. Joshua was another. Now, pay attention to the ethos, the cultural context of the time. When the Bible says they saw giants, the sons of Anak, we aren't just talking about men tall like basketball players. We are talking about warriors who, in the mind of the ancient Near East, were legendary. Cities fortified up to the heavens. Hebron, the city Caleb desired, was an ancient military fortress built with cyclopean stones that would intimidate any nomadic army like Israel's. The other 10 spies came back trembling. Their report in Numbers 13 was, "The land devours those living in it. We seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes." Do you understand the weight of this? Those men were tribal leaders. They were experienced warriors, but they were overtaken by the grasshopper complex. They looked at the problem and felt small. They looked at the walls and forgot about the Red Sea that God had opened. But Caleb, in that moment, 45 years before our main scene, already had a different spirit. He stood up in the middle of the collective panic and said, "Let us go up and take possession of the land. We can certainly do it." He didn't deny the existence of the giants. Faith is not the denial of reality. Caleb saw the same giants the others saw. The difference is that the 10 spies compared the giants to themselves and lost. Caleb compared the giants to God and won. But the majority won through fear that day. Fear infected the people. And because of that cowardice, God decreed, "This generation will not enter. They will wander in the desert until they die." Only Caleb and Joshua would enter. Now, I want you to use your imagination and enter the pathos, the human feeling of this story. Imagine what the next 45 years were like for Caleb. God promised him the land, right? But because of the unbelief of others, Caleb had to walk in the desert for 4.5 decades. Think about the frustration. You know you have a promise. You know you have faith. But you are forced to walk in circles because the people around you didn't believe. Caleb had to watch his friends die. He had to go to funeral after funeral. He saw the skin of his companions age, their hair turn white, and their bodies fall into the hot sand of the desert. Every day, upon waking up and eating manna, Caleb looked at the horizon and remembered Hebron. He remembered the mountains. The loneliness of being the only one who believes is terrible. Have you ever felt that? Being in a family, in a company, or in a ministry where only you see the future, while everyone around you only complains about the present? Caleb endured the murmuring, the dust, the heat, and the time. Time is the greatest test of faith. It's easy to have faith on Sunday night during the service. It's hard to keep the flame burning on a rainy Tuesday, 10 years after the promise was made and nothing has happened. But the text tells us that Caleb's spirit did not age. The body felt the time, yes. The joints might have ached a little more. The skin was burned by the desert sun. But inside, he was still the 40-year-old man who saw the land and said, "It is ours." He didn't let bitterness enter. He didn't think, "God was unfair to me. I had to pay for the mistakes of others." No, he kept the promise in his heart like a treasure. He kept his warrior spirit alive. He prepared himself. While others died waiting for the end, Caleb lived waiting for the beginning. And then we arrive at the crucial moment. Joshua chapter 14. The conquest of the land has begun. Joshua is distributing the territories. Caleb approaches. Now he is 85 years old. Imagine the scene. An elder surrounded by young warriors. He looks into the eyes of Joshua, his old war friend, the only other survivor of that ancient generation. And Caleb says the most impressive words in the Bible regarding aging. "I am 85 years old today. I am still as strong today as the day Moses sent me out. I'm just as vigorous to go out to battle now as I was then." This is incredible. But what he asks for next changes everything. He could have said, "Joshua, we are old friends. Give me that plain over there near the Jordan River, that flat land where the grass is soft, where I can raise my sheep in peace and rest my bones until the day of my death." It would be fair. He deserved it. But Caleb says, "Give me this mountain. Give me the hill country." And the biblical text makes a point to remind us, the Anakims lived on that mountain. The giants. The cities were large and fortified. Caleb, at 85 years old, didn't ask for the prime cut. He asked for the bone. He asked for the hardest battle. He asked for the territory no one else wanted to face. Why? Because Caleb knew God's promise was there. Caleb didn't want ease, he wanted purpose. He knew God hadn't kept him alive for 45 years in the desert for him to die sitting on a porch. God preserved him for a mission. "If the Lord is with me, I will drive them out," he said. Notice the humility and the confidence. It wasn't about the strength of his arm. It was about the company of God. If the Lord is with me, that is the key. Caleb's courage didn't come from his physical capacity. It came from his divine dependence. What was Caleb's secret? The text repeats it several times, and here we enter the Logos, the spiritual logic of the matter. The Bible says Caleb followed the Lord fully. In other translations, it says he followed the Lord wholeheartedly. In Hebrew, this conveys the idea of total filling. There was no empty space in Caleb's heart for fear, doubt, or laziness. He was full of God. The problem for many of us today is not that we don't follow God. It's that we don't follow Him fully. We follow partially. We want the promise, but we don't want the war. We want the land, but we fear the giants. We want the blessing of Hebron, but we want the comfort of the plain. Caleb teaches us that mediocrity is the enemy of the promise. He chose the biggest challenge because he knew that the bigger the challenge, the greater the manifestation of God's glory. He didn't let age define his utility. He didn't let the past define his future. And the Bible says Caleb drove out the 3 sons of Anak. He cleared the mountain, and Hebron became his inheritance. Years later, do you know who was crowned king in Hebron? King David. Caleb's conquest prepared the throne for Israel's greatest king. Your war today prepares the legacy for the generations of tomorrow. Do you realize that? To close, I need to look you in the eye and ask you a difficult question today. What is your Hebron? What is the mountain you gave up on conquering? Maybe you aren't 85, maybe you are 30, 40, 50, but somewhere along the way, you believed the lie that it's too late. You looked at the giants of your life, the giant of financial debt, the giant of marriage crisis, the giant of depression, the giant of addiction, and thought, I don't have the strength for this anymore. I'll settle for whatever I can get. Caleb's story is a wake-up call for us today. Old age is not age. Old age is a lack of purpose. You become old the day your memories become bigger than your dreams. As long as you have a dream from God, you are young. It doesn't matter if the world says you should have stopped already. It doesn't matter if you made mistakes and spent 40 years walking in circles. The day to conquer is today. God has mountains for you. God has projects that will require you to leave your comfort zone. Don't ask God for lighter burdens. Ask for stronger shoulders like Caleb's. Don't pray asking, Lord, take these giants out of my way. Pray, saying, Lord, give me this mountain because with you I will bring them down. Stop negotiating your promise. Stop accepting the plane of mediocrity just because it seems safer. The safest place in the world is not comfort. It is the center of God's will, even if it is on a battlefield. Stand up today. Renew your strength in the Lord. Look in the mirror and tell your soul, I am still strong. The promise still stands. Go and conquer your Hebron, because God is with you. May the Lord bless you and renew your vigor like the eagles. Until the next story.